Hello, welcome. I am throwing my entire TBR out the window. I don't know what we're reading, but it's not gonna be what I told you I was gonna read. I have been absolutely loving and thriving off of the structure of a TBR these past few months, but today the TBR is not TBRing. I am not having a good time. I'll rephrase. I had 2 video projects that I was supposed to be doing this month, and the TBR that I built for both those videos was just not well researched enough by me. This is my fault, and I put things on my TBR that I did not know enough about. I didn't research what I was doing. I didn't know enough about the books, and I wasn't enjoying any of them. And it was making it really not fun to film and read the books for those videos. So instead of me making a video where I'm just DNFing everything, we're gonna cancel that video. We're gonna redo that concept later. And right now we're just gonna read whatever I want to read. So it's currently Friday, it's just past 6, I just finished with work. There's a lot going on this weekend, so I'm not quite sure how many days we're gonna be hanging out. We'll read a couple of books, I'm just not sure how long it's gonna take me. What am I currently reading? Fantastic question. I'm reading Book Lovers. I read Happy Place in last week's video, and I had such a good time that it caused me to rethink every Emily Henry I have not picked up. I really loved Beach Read. It was one of the first romances that I had read, and so I kind of thought in my head, oh, I just don't have good taste in romance. And then I read a couple more things, loved some stuff, hated some stuff, thought, okay, I got Happy Place from my library, I thought I'd give it a go. I devoured that book. I loved it so much. So I found this at a used bookstore, and I also got the audiobook from my library, so I've been like switching off audiobook versus print because I cannot put this down. I am literally so near finishing this. I think I have maybe 30 pages left to go, so maybe not the best time to be starting a video, but this is what I'm currently reading. I'm loving it. I stand by my previous statement that I don't think I have good taste in romance because I keep hearing people talk about this book and talk about its flaws, and I totally agree with them. I think those are valid points. They just don't bother me at all. So the setup of this book is that we have our female main character who is this literary agent, and she's a shark. The whole gimmick of the book is that she keeps being left by boyfriends who have this like small town romance. They go to this small town for something and then they never leave because they meet this baker or the Christmas tree farm owner and they fall in love. What a life. And then they go back to the city and then their girlfriend is just this like stuck up bitch and they're like, oh my god, like I'm in love with the baker. And then they break up with their girlfriend and go fall in love and live in the small town. And our main character, Nora, is the girl who keeps getting broken up with. The, super driven, career-oriented woman who runs every morning. She's like very regimented, very in control of her life. That's the setup. She goes to this small town with her sister, and her sister like really wants her to have this like small town romance. And instead, she ends up having this little romance with this guy. It's kind of like a hate to love situation where he is an editor and they like have this work interaction that does not go very well. They both end up in this small town, hijinks ensue. Emily Henry's banter is so freaking good. I think I have learned that that's literally all I need from a romance book. I need it to be funny, I need the banter to be good, and I need the smut to not be horrifically embarrassing, and otherwise I'm happy. So the criticisms that other people are saying about this is that she's here, she's got this bucket list to do with her sister, and then she meets this guy and she's like kind of off with him all the time and she's not really hanging out with her sister. That's a totally fair criticism. I just didn't care. Her sister seems fine with it, so I didn't mind. Her sister also knows that she's gonna be working this whole vacation. Like she is working 9 to 5 and then she goes and does stuff with her sister. And also this book takes place over a month. So it's not like they're not hanging out, we're just focusing on the relationship because this is already a 400-page romance. And it would have to be 200 pages longer if we were also gonna see all these moments with her and her sister. I think the plot line with her and her sister is well fleshed out enough. And I totally see how other people wanted it to be fleshed out more, but I just didn't care. I don't think my taste is that good. I had a great time. It's Friday. I like to clean my entire house after Friday so that I can feel like I can actually relax on the weekend because my house is dirty. I don't feel like I can relax, and we're working on that. But right now we're gonna put the audiobook on for Book Lovers and I'm going to clean the entire house and then we'll pick something else to read. These are kind of our options for books to pick up next. I also can go scrounge for audiobooks from my library as well, but I very much don't know what I want to read. I'm kind of in a horror mood, I'm kind of in a romance mood, I'm kind of in a fantasy mood. I'll tell you what I'm not in the mood for is historical fiction. Also, the new Zelda game just came out a couple of days ago, and I am trying to stop myself from going and purchasing it because I really don't have $70 to spend on a video game this month. But I don't know, we might be doing that as well. I'm gonna stop procrastinating. Let's clean this house. Hi, I just finished Book Lovers and I filmed myself reading the last couple pages, but I forgot to hit record, so I didn't film myself. It was really emotional. It was a great clip. You'll never see it. That book had no right being that good. That book had absolutely zero right being that profound about relationships. I'm an Emily Henry fan. What can I say? That was exceptional. I want to go read everything she's ever written. I think, unfortunately, there's just one book left. I've read Beach Read. I've read Happy Place, I've read Book Lovers. I just need to read People We Meet on Vacation. I really love her books because I feel like they're not the same story over and over again. I feel like sometimes when I binge an author's work, especially like a romance author's work, the characters feel very similar, especially like their female main characters, but I really feel like every single character that she has written has been very distinct, and especially this book, like Nora is very, very different to anyone else. And I love that Nora doesn't have to give up her city person life in order to find love. Like, the book is very much saying you don't need to give up pieces of yourself to love someone. And I really appreciated that. Also, the house is completely clean. I just need to mop and do laundry, but I think it's gonna rain tomorrow, so I'm gonna hold off on mopping until Sunday. We'll do laundry on Sunday like we usually do. Incredible. Thank you for holding me accountable so I clean my house. Good morning. Okay, let's do it. Good morning. The doggies are currently eating breakfast, so if you hear munching noises, that's what that is. I know what we're gonna read this weekend because I think my copy of Yellowface is gonna come in the mail today. I pre-ordered it from Barnes & Noble. This is my first time pre-ordering something from Barnes & Noble, and I need you guys to tell me if this is always what happens, but I think I assumed that they would ship it early so that it would arrive on release day, but they didn't even charge my card until release day. They didn't ship it until a couple of days later. And my local indie had autographed copies. I could have gone and gotten an autographed copy. So I'm kind of bummed. I don't think I'll be pre-ordering from Barnes & Noble again. I think I'm just gonna go to my local indie. Okay, I'm gonna fix this situation and get ready for the day, and then we'll just sit by the window and wait for the postman to come and give us Yellowface. Happy Saturday. I just got home from a little escape room art heist activity that my friend was running, and then I also helped one of my other friends move. So I am just home exercising the doggies and feeding them dinner, and then our friend who we helped move is going to take us out for dinner, but something came in the mail and I think it's Yellowface. Yeah. This is one of my favorite covers I have ever seen. For those of you who don't know about Yellowface, this is R.F. Kuang's new book. She wrote Babel and the Poppy War trilogy, and I just really love her work. And this one is a story about two friends, and one of them has been successful in her author writing and the other one hasn't. And so the first one who is successful, she ends up dying, and the second person steals her manuscript and like remakes this ethnically ambiguous identity so that she can steal her friend's manuscript and publish her manuscript under her name. Very interesting, and apparently R.F. Kuang absolutely rips apart the publishing industry in this book, and I'm just so excited to read it. It's pretty short, 317 pages, so this I think is going to be what we end up reading the rest of the weekend, but I am going to take the doggies on a walk and then go out for margs with my friends, and then we'll come back home and start reading this. Hello, happy Sunday. I am 3 chapters into Yellowface, and I love it. Is anyone surprised? No, because we love R.F. Kuang in this household. I just am so excited to see where this is going to go. So we've had the setup. I didn't realize this, but our main character, the person who's gonna steal her friend's manuscript, she watches her friend die in front of her. Like, they are together hanging out, and she dies in this really traumatic and also absurd and kind of a little stupid way. It's feeling like a really different tone to R.F. Kuang's other work, and I'm just really excited about it. So when Athena dies, that night she had finished the book and nobody else knew about it. No one else even knew that it was in existence. And June takes the manuscript. It's the only copy. And she goes home and she edits it because it's the first draft. And she like thinks of it as a writing exercise to start. And then when she's got the finished copy, she doesn't know what to do with it. She tells herself that she doesn't want it to not get published. And if she says it's Athena's work, then her agent is gonna have to get involved and there's gonna be a lot of legal stuff to go through because we don't know, there's no written proof that Athena wanted June to finish her manuscript because she probably didn't. There's just a lot going on and our main character knows that what she's doing is bad, and now I'm reading the third chapter right now, she's trying to justify it to us as the reader, and I'm having a really good time. I heard someone say that this gets a little bit speculative, and I'm gonna be so freaking excited if that happens. That's one of my favorite things, is when things are very slightly speculative. I have another busy day ahead of me. I'm supposed to go to a barbecue. Right now though, I need to walk the doggies, so unfortunately I can't read this on the walk because I don't have this on audio. I just bought the physical copy. I need to pick a different audiobook. So now we need to switch gears a little bit and chat to you about this audiobook. Let's go sit down somewhere. I'm tired. So yesterday when I was stopping back home to exercise the doggies and feed them and all that good stuff, I was listening to the audiobook When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain. This is the second book in, oh gosh, what's this series called? The series is called The Singing Hills Cycle, and there's 3 books so far. Last month I read The Empress of Salt and Fortune and really loved it. So we are following this cleric, and they are basically gathering stories and history, and most of the books are this cleric getting into some situation and then getting a story from someone that they are with. And so in the first book, it's this person who has a relationship with the empress who just died and also has a connection to the new empress. And so we're getting her story. And in the second book, we're following our cleric as they continue on their travels. And in this one, we're getting a story from a tiger because they run into this tiger, and it ends up being a story told from 2 different perspectives. So this is the story of like a tiger and a human who got married. And so the humans have one version of the story and the tigers have a different version of the story. So our cleric is telling the version that they have heard, and the tiger is basically correcting them and telling them the correct version of the story from the tiger's perspective. And I finished it, by the way. I finished it yesterday. I thought it was just this really entertaining, interesting story, and also this really interesting commentary on how different a story can be depending on who's telling it and what their intentions are and what benefits them the most. The best way for them to tell that story becomes truth. Hi, Pumpkin. What's up? Webster's ready for his walk. He says, can we stop talking to the camera and go for our walkie? You want to go? Okay, come on. Why don't you come up and hang out with Mama while I finish? I've just started the third one. It's called Into the Riverlands, and I have absolutely no idea who's going to be telling the story, what the story is going to be about. So I will keep you updated on that. I need a walk. The dogs need a walk. We're going to go for a walk and listen to Into the Riverlands. All I wanted to do this weekend was read, and I feel like I haven't gotten enough reading in. So hopefully later today, all we'll do is read. Hello, it's been another very busy day. I am halfway through Yellowface. I cannot put this book down. I brought this everywhere with me today. I brought this to social events where I would have no time to read. And I knew I would have no time to read. But just in case nobody wanted to talk to me and I could just sit in a corner and read, I wanted to have the book with me, just in case. This is so good. It's so compulsively readable. It kind of feels like watching a car crash happen. It kind of feels like Schadenfreude. It feels so weird to read this book. It's just so compulsively readable because our main character is doing a bad thing. She's stealing someone's manuscript. She is publishing it under her own name. She's changed her name to be ethnically ambiguous. She's stealing an Asian writer's book and It's Yellowface. But it's also really looking at like the book community as a whole. I think if you're part of the book community, you're really gonna get a kick out of this, especially if you're part of the book community on Twitter. Twitter is a big part of this book, and I think it's very clear that that's how R.F. Kuang interacts with the book community, is through Twitter. And some of the like TikTok and BookTube references aren't quite accurate. I think you can just tell that R.F. Kuang's like not a part of those spaces, and she interacts with the book community through Twitter, which makes sense. It's just a really interesting look at the book community and cancel culture and publishing as a whole. There's just so many beautiful little nuggets of information in here. If you had told me that this was the book that R.F. Kuang was gonna write next, I wouldn't have believed you, because she's really only written fantasy type stories up until now, and yet it feels so much like an R.F. Kuang book. There is a ton of research put into this book, because the book that June is publishing in here, the book that Athena wrote that June has stolen, is centering a Chinese experience. Obviously, a lot of research has gone into being able to talk about a book written about that topic, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of times when a book is super smart and it has a bunch of references like this one does, a lot of it goes over my head and I feel kind of dumb. But for some reason, R.F. Kuang's books, the obscure literary theory writers that she quotes are the same ones that like I actually remember from college. For whatever reason, we're both drawn to the same couple of people, and so I always personally just find that to be really fun. Like Baudrillard is in here, Roland Barthes is in here, Babel had a huge Lacanian influence, just like obscure theory like that happens to be the same obscure theory that really made my brain happy is the stuff that she's quoting, so I'm loving it. I also have a migraine. I've had it for like 4 hours now. I'm not having a great time, but the book is making it better. It's just that screens and things are very rough on my eyeballs. So I think the plan now is to just turn off every screen in my house, including you, the camera, and I'm just gonna read this because I think hopefully it won't hurt my eyeballs too much. But I am struggling a little bit. My vision's starting to go a little bit, so we might just have to regroup tomorrow, which is Monday. I feel like this weekend went by so fast. I love helping my friends move because I feel like a big, strong man, but now my body is in pain. I want to do laundry. I like to start the week with fresh sheets on my bed and make sure everything's vacuumed and mopped and all that good stuff. But you know what? It's just not in the cards today. I think if I have a vacuum on, my brain is going to explode. That would hurt so bad. So I'm just going to take it easy. I'm gonna stop talking and get back to reading, and I will see you tomorrow. Hi, happy Tuesday. I've been really bad at updating you, but I have been reading. I'm over halfway through Yellowface and I'm absolutely loving this. It kind of feels a little Crime and Punishment-y with the way that she's grappling with kind of the guilt of stealing this person's manuscript and how she's justifying it to us and also to herself, and like the way that that's manifesting for her mental health is just a very interesting thing. So I'm still having a fantastic time. I think I'm just gonna check in with you when I finish this. I also, on audio, have been reading a lot of different things. So I think the last time I spoke to you, I was reading When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain or Into the Riverlands. So I'm halfway through Into the Riverlands. I also picked up Whisper Down the Lane, which is by the same author as Ghost Eaters. And I very nearly purchased this year. It came out this year. And this is the pick, this book, Whisper Down the Lane, is the pick for the Literally Dead Book Club for May. I'm hoping to participate in that discussion. And it was available from my library, so I decided to just jump on that. I'm not sure when the live show is going to be. I think it's probably going to be at the beginning of June, but I am reading that and it's very interesting. We're set in 2 different timelines. We're in the 80s with like the whole satanic panic situation going down, and there's this group of students who is like wrongfully accusing this group of teachers of satanic stuff, and then we're also following this person in present day, and stuff about that is like now impacting his life. And it's just a lot of really interesting conversations about parenting and children and coercion, and also there's some spooky stuff in here, and I'm not sure how like truly paranormal spooky this is going to be or if it's more just going to be this commentary on the whole satanic panic, which I think I'd be happy either way. I think it's probably gonna lean more, the horror is that these children wanted to say whatever the adults wanted them to say, and so they ended up saying that these people were satanic, and then that really impacted those people's lives, and they lost families and jobs and people who lost their lives because of this, and now those children having to grapple with that as they grow older. It's just a really interesting conversation that we're having, and I'm enjoying it. So I think I will, depending on how this ends, I think I will pick up more by this author in the future, which is exactly what I wanted to find out by reading this book. So I'm also interested to see what everyone else says about this in the live show, because there were some things that felt a little bit odd to me, and I'm not sure if I'm just being overly sensitive, but yeah, be interesting to see what everyone else thinks. I also just got from my library The Bandit Queens and Momfluence just came in. So depending on how quickly I tear through Whisper Down the Lane, those are the next 2 audiobooks that are up on my docket that we might be reading as well. But this video has to go up on Sunday and it's Tuesday, and I have a very, very busy weekend, so I might have to end this pretty soon. I definitely want to finish Yellowface, so that's my goal for tonight. I just got home from work. It's like 8 p.m. So I think this is priority number 1. Okay, I'll see you later. Good morning. It's Thursday and I have just finished Yellowface. I have almost no words because it was that good. I absolutely love R.F. Kuang. She's a favorite author of mine. This book is no exception. It's absolutely incredible. I love watching her write in all these different genres, and I'm so excited to see what she does next. This is such a good book. This reminds me a lot of Crime and Punishment, because we're following a main character who is dealing with a lot of guilt, and she's being haunted by this horrible thing that she did, and simultaneously trying to justify it to herself and to us as readers and to the world as a whole. And it's just so good, and that it doesn't pull any punches, and I absolutely loved it. It talked a lot about the publishing industry and how lonely it can be, how the publishing industry views diversity, doesn't offer opportunities equally, cherry picks bestsellers with their marketing budgets. There's just so much to talk about publishing, and R.F. Kuang does a really good job of discussing that in a really entertaining way. I loved how over the top this got. I loved how it ended. I just loved all of it. I heard one person say that this was speculative, and I latched onto that. I would not go into this expecting speculative elements, so I apologize for saying that at the beginning before I'd finished the book. It's exceptional, 5 stars, highly recommend. I'm still reading Whisper Down the Lane, but I have to be in a very specific mood to turn that on, because the past couple times I've listened to it, it has destroyed my mood. Like, I have been just not feeling good. That book also, like Yellowface, is talking a lot about guilt, but it's also children who were coerced into saying awful things because people had this agenda, and they were so scared that satanic things were happening that they led children with these like leading questions and all sorts of crap to get them to say that their teachers were part of a satanic cult, and then people died as a result. People's lives were ruined, and now we have someone who's trying to grapple with that as an adult, having done those things as a child. And it just makes me feel icky. All of it makes me feel icky, because I'm not sure if there's going to be an actual supernatural element to it, or if this person is just so traumatized by what happened and what they were led to say and coerced into saying, and it just makes me feel bad. I don't like horror that is real life. I much prefer horror that is speculative. I like horror that's supernatural and speculative. I like a ghosty. I like things that are not real life. So that's how I'm feeling about Whisper Down the Lane. I'm also still listening to Into the Riverlands, and this one's a little bit more disjointed, I think, than the other 2. I'm not enjoying it quite as much, and I'm a little bit bummed about that, but I still have hope. I will update you when I finish it. I have absolutely no idea what physical book I'm picking up next, so I will see you when I figure that out. Happy Friday. I have so many reading updates for you, but first, I just got in the mail a present for Sully, so let's open it for him. Longtime viewers of the channel will know that Sullivan found a soccer ball in our backyard, and it is his favorite thing. And last week, Webster popped it, and Sully has been so sad. So I just got him a new one. Here it is. Let's blow it up. Updates that I need to tell you. First of all, I finished reading Into the Riverlands. It did get very good. I think the last time I updated you, I wasn't enjoying it as much as the other two. I think the reason is I didn't feel like that book had as much to say about storytelling as I was reading where I was halfway through, because the other two books, like the first one kind of like sets up this premise, it's talking a lot about storytelling, and then the second book is talking about who gets to tell the story and how that it changes how the story is told and what the story is. And then this third book is less of an emphasis on storytelling looking back and more of an emphasis on how they go about their business of being a cleric and witnessing historical events. And I thought that ended up being really, really cool. So I'm going to continue reading. I really hope that there are more things in this series because it's been so good so far. I still haven't finished Whisper Down the Lane. I will finish it eventually. I'm over halfway through. It's good. I just needed something different. So now I am also reading Momfluenced, which is a nonfiction about mom influencers, mommy bloggers, all that sort of thing. And I was expecting this to be different than what it is. I was expecting this to be kind of like an expose about how children who grow up online and it not being their choice, how that affects them later in life. And we haven't touched on that at all, and I'm wondering if that's going to come later. I'm halfway through. But mostly this is commentary on how we as a society see mom influencers and influencers in general, and then like even the term momfluencer and all of this commentary on how we as society view influencers and moms and why momfluencing is attractive, and kind of all of the like political implications of like trad wives and all this sort of stuff. So it's been very interesting. I'm enjoying it. It's starting to feel a little bit repetitive halfway through, so I'm hoping that we get some new fresh things, and I would love to read a book exploring how having parents who vlog or blog about their children, it impacts the children involved. Those are my reading thoughts. This is the smallest soccer ball I've ever seen. I hope he likes it. This is definitely a lot smaller than the last one he had. Here, I'll turn you around so you can see. I think he likes it. Well, good. I'm glad that Sully likes his toy. I have one more update for you because I also had finished Yellowface, so I picked up something else physically as well. Maybe let's go sit somewhere comfier than on the step. Pretty much the exact same shot for you, but it's more comfy for me. I've completely failed this video because I'm now reading something that was on my TBR originally, and the whole point of this was to throw my TBR out the window, so she can't be consistent. I am reading Illuminations by T. Kingfisher. This is set in the same world, I believe, as A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. It's a middle grade, but it's still under the T. Kingfisher name, so it's a little bit darker. T. Kingfisher writes under the pen name T. Kingfisher for her adult stuff and her stuff that is darker, and then she writes children's books under Ursula Vernon, which is her actual name. I really love her middle grade stuff written under T. Kingfisher because it's cozy fantasy, but it also has that kind of darker undertone that I love so much about T. Kingfisher's work. I absolutely adored A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking, so I have been wanting to pick up more of the things in this series. There are a couple of them, and this one, Illuminations, is about a family of painters. They paint these illuminations, these magical paintings, and it's like each painting does a very specific thing. It just depends on like what you paint is the magic. Like you have to be magical in order for the painting to work. But other than that, if you paint a cat with blue eyes, it keeps mice away. So people have these paintings of cats with blue eyes in their pantry. And our main character, she is 10, almost 11. So she's in like 5th grade type range is how I'm thinking of her in my head. And she feels very true to that age. I really think that T. Kingfisher does a good job of depicting middle grade, like, kids as they would be in that age. All she wants to do is paint radishes. She's not quite sure if she has the magicalness. She's got this friend who's a year older than her, not falling out, but not as close as they used to be. And she really just wants to go on a big adventure. And she finds this box with a crow on it. And the box has an illumination on it, this crow thing, whatever, that stops you from being interested in it. So as soon as she looks at it, she turns around and walks the other way. It's got this magic on it that makes you not want to open the box, but she ends up, through some hijinks, opening the box and releases something. And now we're kind of on this adventure to try to figure out what's going on with that. I'm having a fantastic time, really enjoying it. I got it from my library, so I'm reading it on Kindle, and I've actually been kind of loving that. I want to get like a case for my Kindle. I've never had a case for it. I've had it for a couple of years now. I'm definitely going to be reading on my Kindle a lot when I go on vacation later this summer, so I think I'm gonna get a case for it. I think that's a good investment at this point. We had to come in because the doggies are hungry, so if you hear munching sounds, that's what that is. The other thing that I wanted to tell you about is that I got the new Legend of Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom. It's here. I'm so excited to play it. My friend actually got this for me as a gift, and I have the best friends in the entire world. Thank you so much. You know who you are. I'm so excited. Okay, so in order for us to be able to play this tonight, I need to go work on editing this video, so I will see you in a couple of hours. Hello. I'm currently editing this video, and it's already half an hour long, and I just realized that I started this on Friday. So technically I should have wrapped this up yesterday. And here I am just thinking that I can keep vlogging on Saturday and Sunday when I have to post this on Sunday. So I'm gonna have to say goodbye now so that I can finish editing this and get it up for Sunday so you can see it. I guess it just goes to show that when you throw your TBR out the window, your vlog gets a little bit chaotic. My reading was chaotic. I'm in the middle of so many books right now, but I feel like we had a really good reading week. Yellowface was incredible. Into the Riverlands and When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain were also incredible. I'm still enjoying Whisper Down the Lane, but I think I'm just gonna come back to it in a couple of days when I'm feeling like I want more spooky, scary things. Because right now, honestly, all I want to do is play Tears of the Kingdom. So I don't think very much reading is gonna get done this weekend at all, but that's okay. I feel like I need to tell you a little bit more about Momfluence before I go. It's just this really interesting look at impacts of momfluencer culture on women who both are a part of that culture and women who are not part of that culture, and kind of the way that we view momfluencers on the internet and how that impacts our psyche, and then also the dynamics of like hate following or cringe following. And it's just a lot of really interesting nuance in this book, and I do highly recommend it, and I'm really interested to see what the second half of it is. So my apologies that you don't get to hear final thoughts on Momfluenced, Whisper Down the Lane, or Illuminations, but I'm enjoying all of them. I think they're all going to be wins, and I will give you final thoughts next week during my end of the month wrap up. Also, final non-reading update, I got these like Glamnetics press-on nails. I've never had press-ons before, but the TikTok girlies are obsessed with these nails, and I'm going to a NASCAR race this weekend with some friends, and like the little checkerboard, I couldn't not. They're only like 20 bucks and they're reusable, so I'll keep you guys updated in a couple of weeks on whether or not they're good or not. But the shape of these was so pointy, and I literally had an identity crisis because I felt like my hands didn't belong to me. But now that I filed them down to be the shape that my nails typically are, I'm having a better time. For the very small subset of you who are still here at the end of a half-an-hour vlog, maybe that's a piece of information that you wanted. If not, I will see you next week. I post every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Thank you so much for being here. I love you all, and I will see you next time. Bye.